Hey guys, what's up? You know, I recently saw a video by Pat Mack, and he was talking about the 4 canceled Sonic movies um, that were planned. 4 of them. He actually cheated on one, but you kind of get the idea. He basically talked about a couple of them. And the ones he talked about the most was one that was created and supposed to was supposed to come out around 96, 97 to kind of promote the Sega Saturn, as well as one of the, I guess, promoted games for it at the time, Sonic Extreme. That did not happen. Then he talked about the Sonic Armageddon movie. Sonic Armageddon was Ken Pender's idea, taking some of the elements from what Ben Hurst wanted to do. You see, Ben Hurst, God rest his soul, was one of the original head writers on the SatAM series, the Sonic SatAM Saturday Morning 1993 to 1995 series. And Ben always wanted to finish the series. He wanted to make it feel complete. Make it feel like all the loose ends were tied up. And he was on the verge of doing that. He wanted to get something off the ground. Now, he spoke with Dick Entertainment, DIC, Dick Entertainment, now known as DHX. He has spoke with them. And basically, long story short, they were on board. All they said was, look, talk to Sega America, talk to Sega Japan, and it should be a go. Well, long story short, Ken Penders got wind of what Ben wanted to do, and, basically, let's just say Ken, in the eyes of many people, took the proverbial knife and stabbed it right in Ben's back. Because basically, according to reports, and even Pat Mack clarified this, Ken Penders basically went behind Ben's back and told the people at Sega, don't greenlight Ben's idea. I've got something better. So yeah, Ben basically wanted to do one of two things. He wanted to fully bring what was supposed to be the third season, the lost third season, into reality. He wanted to make that, something that he wanted to get done before maybe moving on to other projects and maybe even riding off into the sunset. He wanted to make that a reality. That didn't happen. The other plan he wanted to do was to take what would have been some of the concepts and ideas for Season 3 and compile them and put them together in a movie. This essentially would have been the SatAM movie. Unfortunately, again, that didn't happen. What came of it, though, as a lot of you know, was Ken Penders trying to pitch his own idea. Now, the one thing Pat Mack didn't point out, and I know some people feel like this is a black sheep to talk about, and that is another person actually went as far as trying to go to the studios. And supposedly, he posted pictures and all this on his MySpace and whatever. But someone by the name of Richard Kunta, Kuta, was pitching an idea for his own Sonic movie. And he was going to try to base it in SatAM as well. Try to keep it in an area that people would enjoy. Now, nothing came of it. He did do some animations. He did post some animations of what he was planning to pitch to the studios for his project. The only thing was, maybe some of these studios were on board, but Richard did not get Sega's approval. So that was the end of that. I don't know if you could find any of the animations here on YouTube, but I think you could. But basically, he was planning to try to get a Sonic movie off the ground as well. A lot of people have been trying for years, and now we're getting one. But the one thing, excuse me, but the one thing I think a lot of people overlook, and I've mentioned this before, and Pat Mack, if you're watching, I want you to hear this. We actually do have a Sonic movie. We do. We actually do have a Sonic movie. And I'm not talking the OVA. I'm not talking the final episodes of the syndicated version of Sonic, which was aimed at a younger audience. Much younger, if you will. Because of its slapstick and silliness and whatever. I'm not talking about Sonic X and some of the episodes that continued after the other that could be compiled together as a movie. I'm not talking, the Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 adaptations they did in Season 2, or the series finale, which you take like the final 4 episodes and there you go. I'm not talking that. And I'm not talking a couple of 3-parters they did in Sonic Underground. Like the beginning saga or the ones with introducing Knuckles and the Chaos Emeralds and stuff like that. I'm not talking those. I'm not talking those. What I'm talking about is the final 4 episodes of Season 2 of Sonic SatAM. Now, the reason I say this is because when Ben Hurst wrote Blast of the Past was actually the first 2-parter in SatAM. And it was in the middle of the season. Now, some could debate that Blast of the Past should have served as the Season 2 premiere, because it basically set a lot of things up. Kind of gave us an idea what was going on. Felt like it belonged in the premiere slot. My only assumption is it wasn't fully ready yet, so they went with Game Guy. They went with Game Guy and I think Sonic Conversion. Those are the ones they went with. But again, Blast of the Past was its first 2-parter, and what I believe, in my opinion, is the reason Ben Hurst made it into a 2-parter is he wanted to test the grounds of what a multi-part story would be like. How people would, if any of the fans would accept a multi-part story, especially if it served as the finale for that season, or in unfortunate cases, that series. And Blast of the Past proved to be a success. I think it was honestly, it was one of the highest rated Saturday morning episodes of any of the shows at that time, along with some of the episodes of Power Rangers. But it was one of the highest rated, one of the highest, most viewed at that time, because it was a 2-parter. It was telling the origin, basically, of how all this came to be, how the whole situation came to be. So again, in my opinion, Ben wanted to use that, I think, as a springboard, as a testing ground to see how the viewers, the fans of the series, would accept and react to maybe a multi-part story. And that's where the final 4 episodes of Sonic SatAM come into from Season 2. Now, the Void episode, which takes place a couple of episodes afterwards, because we had Blast of the Past, we had the 2-part Blast of the Past, then we had an episode which was basically filler. They were just 2 11-minute shorts. Then you had an episode centered around Dulcie the Dragon, who was introduced in Season 2. Then you had the Void. And the Void episode, in my opinion, not only finally acknowledged to the characters, because we as viewers already knew this, but acknowledged to the characters where Sally's father had been the whole time. The king had been the whole time. But it also introduced us to a character which would go on to be one of the more intimidating villainous characters in the Sonic franchise, Axis Naugus. And it would basically give us a background in his association with Robotnik and vice versa. Anyway, the reason this, in a sense, served as a prelude, in my opinion, is because of what we get at the end. Now, this is acknowledged. This is a good callback to the first episode of Season 2, because a character named Ari mentions a list of freedom fighters. So we finally have that acknowledgement, that clue solved when Sally's father gives her the list on a little computerized device. So that basically, after another filler 11-part episode, if you will, airs, we get into what I consider the Doomsday Project saga. And it all starts with the episode Cry of the Wolf, which introduces us to Loop. It continues on with Droonhedge, which finally fully establishes Tails as a freedom fighter. It gives us Spyhog, which basically has Robotnik find out that he's being spied on and finding out who the spy is. And kind of getting some character development for Uncle Chuck, as well as relocating him within Robotropolis to continue his spy job and try to basically and show that basically he was ready for that moment, kind of like develop his character to where he realizes, okay, I can't just walk around myself anymore. I got to do something else. I got to figure other things out. And then, of course, Doomsday, the Doomsday Project. And the reason I call this the saga, even though, like with the Spider-Man animated series, they didn't have any upper tier title saying Doomsday Project, Part 1 or Day 1 or whatever, Cry of the Wolf, and, so on and so forth. They just had the regular episodes. They just had the episodes titled as themselves. But anybody like myself can tell that this was a 4-part miniseries. This was a 4-part finale. And what I did, I tested this, and I tried this a few times until about 7 years ago I got it right. I took the final 4 episodes off. What I did is I took my Sonic SatAM box set that I got, and I recorded. I don't know how I was able to do this, but I was able to record off my Sony recorder. My Sony recorder, I believe. Was it my ILO? I gotta look at it again. It was either the ILO or the Sony one. I think it was probably the ILO. I don't know. I gotta look. But basically, I was able to finally, because I had the time to do it, I was finally able to carefully, and I mean carefully, edit together all 4 episodes into a movie. And the way I did this is I started with the Doomsday Project episode, and as soon as it did the intro and then it showed the title card, I paused it as soon as it faded to black, went over, and then what I did is I went to the menu, went over to Cry of the Wolf, let the intro and everything play out, let the title, Cry of the Wolf, show up, and then as soon as it faded to black, I unpaused my recording, and by doing so, I let it kind of feel like it was flowing in, like the Doomsday Project title was flowing in to the beginning of Cry of the Wolf. In other words, if you watch this as a movie, when you see the Doomsday Project title come up, basically what you see instead of the Doomsday Project episode, when it fades to black and then fades back in, you don't see Doomsday. You don't see the Doomsday Project episode. You see Cry of the Wolf. And I continuously did this even after that. After Cry of the Wolf was over, when it faded to black, as so I didn't get the credits. I paused it, rinsed and repeated with June Hedge, and if basically when I watched it back, it looks like it flows together perfectly. It does. And the same thing with basically Spyhog and then Doomsday Project. Now, you're probably thinking, do you have any physical evidence about this? I just said basically, no offense when I say this, I just mentioned that I recorded it, right? There's your physical evidence. Right there. I actually made the cover myself, but this is basically, and I did misspell, I was kind of, I guess, in a hurry or something, but I did misspell project on there, but it's okay. But this is actually the all four of them edited together as a movie. And I think, because this is a DVD plus R, this may have been on the Sony. Now, you notice that I, being something that I created myself, I took a few liberties. As you notice, I rated it PG because, let's be honest, even though this would have been TVY7FV, in actuality, if it was an actual direct-to-video movie, or even limited theatrically, it would have had a PG rating attached to it. But there you can see I gave it a PG rating. I put the year all this debuted, the episodes that is, and then the runtime, which was 88 minutes. Just about 88, almost 90 minutes. So not too bad. Not too bad whatsoever. But I know this video is running long, but the point that I'm getting at, and Pat Mack, again, if you're watching, basically, you mentioned all these movies that were planned and never saw the light of day, even the one a lot of us SatAM fans know about. And basically, long story short, you have to realize that we did have a movie. It just was never presented as much. And I've even said that Dick Entertainment, Saga, and ABC, who broadcasted the series at the time, missed out on a golden opportunity to air this maybe during the holiday season, like Thanksgiving and all that, because they would have had a lot of viewership if they would have shown all four of these episodes like I present them, like I've been able to put them together as a movie. And like I said, it's unfortunate they never got a chance to do that. But, that was the decision. I think, again, I still have a firm belief that if they would have done something like that, that maybe it would have changed the minds of the people at ABC and we probably would have gotten the third season. But, what are you going to do? But I just thought I'd come on here and let Pat Mack and anybody else know that is wondering about that saw the video and thinking the same thing. I'm just here to let you know that in a way we did have a movie, even though it wasn't presented as much, and that was the final 4 episodes of season 2 of SatAM, what I entitled the Doomsday Project Saga, or as I put together here, the Doomsday Project movie. So, and like I said, I made the cover myself, so anyway, just thought I'd come on here and let you guys know about that. So maybe, Pat, if you want to do an updated video down the line, it's up to you. But just thought I'd do something and kind of contribute a little bit. But that's all I'm going to say, guys. So let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. Talk to y'all later.